Chapter 2. Take off toward a dream. Toshinori Yagi sighed as he slumped down onto his battered sofa, dressed in casual clothes that fit his withered frame. It had been a trying day. He didn't know what to do. When he had first met young Midoriya and offered to pass One for All onto him, Toshinori had brushed aside the boy's resemblance to All for One as a mere coincidence. But now, knowing what Izuku's original quirk was, it couldn't be ignored. Opening his laptop, Toshinori navigated to the police force database, searching for his successor. Izuku Midoriya, born July 15, 2163, parents Hisashi Midoriya and Inko Midoriya ne Hosuido. Clicking on Inko's file, Toshinori scanned it before checking the files of her adoptive parents. They all checked out. Moving to Hisashi Midoriya's file, the number one hero frowned at the lack of a picture, as well as minimal informal prior to 2161 and nothing in the last 6 years, like he had fallen off the face of the earth. 6 years ago. Toshinori checked the date on the file. Hisashi Midoriya had not been seen since the day he had fought All for One. Could young Midoriya's father really be him? All for One. Toshinori needed help, serious help. Hitting speed dial, Toshinori raised his phone to his ear and sighed. Mirai, I have a problem. I think All for One has a son, and I gave him One for All. Toshinori prepared himself for what was to come. 1 week later, Izuku soared through the air, rolling as he hit the ground and back onto his feet, sprinting across Dagoba Beach. Reaching out to where attraction was stored in his quirk space, Izuku activated and pulled on a distant building as he jumped. Instead of pulling the object towards him in the same way as his mother used her quirk, Izuku was shot towards the building, augmenting the distance and speed of his jump. Rolling back onto his feet, Izuku continued his run, jumping and pulling himself forward repeatedly until he reached a line of stones in the sand. Izuku reached behind himself with attraction and pulled, negating his velocity. 1 minute 2 seconds and 80 milliseconds, Izuku smiled to himself as All Might called out his time, a new personal best for the 500 meters. Excellent, young Midoriya. All Might was in his true form, holding a stopwatch. Izuku nodded, releasing his hold on attraction from where it resided within Quirk Smith. After Izuku had told All Might about his quirk, the man had grown stilted and distant, excusing himself quickly. Yet the next morning All Might had texted him, asking him to meet him at the beach. There he had given Izuku a temporary training license issued by his hero agency with his usual gusto. Even then, Izuku could see it in his eyes. All Might was wary of him. All Might didn't trust him. He only spent as much time as strictly necessary for training with Izuku. So Izuku threw himself into training with his new quirks, improving the time needed to call on attraction, the weight limit of zero gravity, which was far lower than Uraraka's, and his own quirk. Izuku had lost himself for hours with his quirk space, disassembling and reassembling quirks to see how they worked, weaving in junk quirk data to alter a quirk's properties. However, Izuku had found too many alterations to a single quirk caused it to denature and become junk data. Fortunately, he'd found this out with attraction and been able to copy it again, instead of zero gravity or quirk space. In his new, 14th notebook, Izuku had broken down the drawbacks of his quirk. Only one quirk can be used at a time, excluding One for All. Quirk copying on contact cannot be avoided. However, zero gravity pads do not count as skin contact and can be activated independently of its quirk, as can other passive attributes. Quirk space is limited. Maximum, 10 quirks. Denatured quirks still take up space. Are quirks overridden or does quirk space expand? Does that cause strain on the holder? Armed with his new knowledge, Izuku had made his first quirk alteration, to heal. Instead of using his lips as contact for the quirks, which would copy the target's quirk, and be pretty awkward, he changed it to the Quirksmith immune finger pads. You're muttering again, Midoriya. Izuku's head snapped up to look at All Might as he stood in front of him. Sorry. How about you take the rest of the day off? All Might placed a stiff arm on Izuku's shoulder. Izuku nodded. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. You start your independent training tomorrow. I have pre-term planning for UA to do. Oh, I see. Izuku's head fell and his shoulders slumped. Why had All Might lost faith in him? Did he think Izuku had been lying when he said he was quirkless? Was it because he couldn't handle One for All without his bones breaking? Did All Might think his quirk was evil? Was Quirk Smith evil? Don't worry, once you're at UA I will be taking you in your class for plenty of lessons. Izuku raised his head. Alright, see you then. With that Izuku raced away, leaving All Might alone on the beach, the setting sun lighting him with an orange glow. Nana, what do I do? Toshinori sighed. He felt like a monster for pushing the boy away, after seeing his reaction to UA acceptance letter and the fact Toshinori would be teaching there. He knew he wasn't faking it. Izuku Midoriya had the heart and spirit of a true hero. In him, Toshinori could finally understand what Nana had seen in him all those years ago. Yet Mirai's research had only raised more red flags on the enigma that was Hisashi Midoriya. Red flags that Toshinori couldn't overlook. Therefore he had to keep Midoriya at an arm's length, even if it made him feel like a villain. But he needed to do it without hurting the boy, like he was now. Toshinori clenched his fist, shifting into his muscle form. Look, it's All Might. Where did he come from? Toshinori sighed. Not again. I am leaving now like a normal person. All Might crouched down and rocketed into the air, soaring away from the beach, in manner distinctly unlike a normal person. Shota Aizawa rubbed his eyes. Hitting the enter key, Shota resumed the footage on his laptop, watching a blonde-haired boy destroy robot after robot with explosions from his palms, leaving destruction in his wake. Switching to a word processing program, Shota began to type. To summarize, Katsuki Bakugo, Quirk, explosion, powerful and versatile. He's using it well. Possesses a modicum of enhanced strength, unrelated to Quirk. Moderate potential, strong, well-utilized Quirk, however he has severe anger issues, a possible superiority complex, poor team skills. We'll fix that. Expulsion. Unlikely. Next, the problem child. Playing the footage of Midoriya destroying the zero-pointer, Shota made a sound of disappointment. Izuku Midoriya, Quirk superpower. No description. Made no effort to use Quirk prior to zero-pointer. Then suffered 2 broken legs and a broken arm when used once. Can't use Quirk without breaking his body, despite heroic sentiments. No potential, would be reliant on support items. Expulsion. Highly likely. Moving to the next student, Shota opened the respective file, watching the attached video files. Minoru Mineta, Quirk pop-off. Underuses his Quirk, the balls have high elasticity, could be used as a springboard to enhanced speed. Excellent for capture and detainment. Middle school file indicates a lack of confidence and insecurity over height. Reputation for making perverse comments, seems to be quite. Shota, it's 3 in morning, you should be in bed. Rubbing his eyes, Shota looked up to see his boyfriend standing over him. Term starts tomorrow, Hisashi, and I haven't finished going through the 1A student files. Hisashi grabbed the laptop from Shota's lap as he flopped down next to him. You can sleep, I'll finish this. Class 2D doesn't get back from their internships until next week. Shota smiled, before kissing Hisashi on the cheek and standing with a stretch. Sleep well. Hisashi opened the footage of Mineta fighting the entrance exam robots, pausing the video every few seconds to take notes. What did I do to deserve you? Hisashi beamed. I know, right? And I'm all yours. Well, until something better comes along, that is. Shota shook his head in amusement at his boyfriend's antics, but Hisashi wasn't finished yet. For me, that is, you've pretty much peaked. Night, Hisashi, love you. With that, Shota turned and made moves towards the bedroom. I love you too. Shota stopped, looking back at Hisashi, who was still totally focused on the footage. Did he even realize that that was the first he'd said? Shota smiled. The 11th of April 2179. This place is huge. Izuku raced down the corridor of UA. The last thing he wanted to be on his first day was late. Reaching a corner, Izuku yelped as a black-haired boy rounded it, crashing into him. Both boys went sprawling, a stack of papers fluttering to the ground. Scrambling to his feet, Izuku bowed. I'm sorry. The other boy brushed himself off. It's fine. Izuku did a double take. The other boy, it was like looking into a bizarre mirror. He was near identical to Izuku. The only things that set him apart were longer, messier black hair and silver, metal backpack. I'm Izuku Midoriya, by the way. Mikumo Akatani. The boy bent down to retrieve the stack of papers. Here, let me help. Reaching down, Izuku began to collect the papers, a quick glance showing that they were schematics for what looked like some kind of robot. Whoa, these look pretty cool. Makumo snatched the schematics from Izuku's grip. They're not finished. Taken aback, Izuku paused before bowing. Then I look forward to when they're done. You must be support, right? Alright. I'm Hiro, I look forward to working together. Izuku held out his hand. Makumo stared at the hand for a few seconds, before grabbing it and shaking it. Yeah, me too. I'd better get going then, don't want to be later on the first day.